All right, good deal. So the last time I did one of these meetings, I had a little virtual struggle as well with sharing my screen. So I'm hoping I'm going to be able to share today. So we'll just try this out. Can you guys see that? Great. All right, I'm going to move multiple screens because it flipped my camera to the other side so you can still see me. All right, so we are going to get started. I know, and I'm sure you all know, that virtual meetings are wonderful because it lets us connect to people in various locations, which I think is fantastic. But I'm not going to lie that sometimes when it comes to virtual meetings, there is a little bit of struggle I have found with myself personally to pay attention. So to kind of make this more engaging and to try to keep your attention, you might see a little starburst on the screen on the presentation slide. Now, there are starbursts throughout the whole presentation. My challenge for you is to count how many starbursts you see during the presentation. And then we will go over that number at the end. I'm not promising I'm going to have you an awesome prize, but it will hopefully help keep you engaged as far as just being able to see what's going on the screen. All right, and with that, we'll get started. So this presentation is Don't Be Duped. My name is Robin Hatler. I am with the Tennessee Department of Health. I'm with the Tobacco Prevention Program, public health educator, which is quite a mouthful. As far as what this presentation is intended for, it's to help the audience gain in-depth knowledge about the public health problem of tobacco and vape use, nicotine addiction, and novel new products, modified risk tobacco products. Additionally, resources for parents and educators will be provided. The training is designed for health educators and community partners. Our objectives are to review the data depicting the burden of vaping and nicotine on youth and young adults in Tennessee, and identify emerging tobacco products currently on the market, identify resources for parents on tobacco and vaping cessation for youth, and discuss how to combat tobacco use. It'll take approximately 45 minutes, and we will have some time for questions and answers at the end. So for our agenda, we are going to go over what are e-cigarettes. We're going to discuss the evolution of e-cigarettes. We're going to discuss how an e-cigarette works. We're going to talk about some youth and adult statistics, mental health, and how to combat e-cigarette use, and then go over some resources. All right, another thing I like to do with these presentations is, as I said, virtual presentations are wonderful for the ability to connect with people in various locations, but I know firsthand that sometimes it is hard to pay attention. So I know you are going to be watching the slides because you are also intrigued with how many starbursts I have put on each of the slides. But another thing I'd like to do is just take a mindful moment, and I would like for you to take a second and really think about how engaged are you going to be during this presentation. So on a scale of 1 to 7, how engaged are you really going to be? Are you going to have multiple screens up? Are you going to be answering emails? Are you going to be looking at your cell phone, or are you going to turn all those things off? So 1 is completely disengaged, or you're not paying attention at all. You're busy doing other things, which, trust me, in this world and time and age, I know how busy we are. And 7 is that you are all in. And then take a moment and think about, what does that look like for you? If you are completely disengaged, what does that mean that you're going to be doing? If you're all in, what does that mean? Are you going to be camera on, focused, nodding, paying attention, counting those starbursts? Just take a moment to think about that. And then lastly, how much do you care about the other participants gaining information from this presentation? Once again, on a scale from 1 to 7. So sometimes I find that taking that moment to really even just bring that to your attention sort of helps in regards to how that presentation plays out. I'm not giving you a hard time if you are busy doing other things. Trust me, I have been there at virtual meetings, but I do find that taking a moment to think about it and really sort of commit yourself one way or the other makes a difference as far as how much you actually gain from this presentation. All right, let's jump right in. So what are e-cigarettes? So in order to understand the dangers of e-cigarettes, we must start with the basics and know what e-cigarettes are. Patent applications for e-cigarette type devices appeared early as the 1920s and then in the United States in the 1960s. A Chinese pharmacist created the modern innovation of e-cigarettes in 2003, And e-cigarettes hit the US market on a small scale in 2007 and began to rise rapidly in 2009. And on the screen, you'll see just a couple of different examples of all those different types of e-cigarettes, which are constantly evolving. So as far as the evolution of e-cigarettes, e-cigarette devices they produce an aerosol when an e-liquid usually containing nicotine is heated. These devices are sometimes called vapes, e-cigs, vape pens, e-hookah, mods, and electronic nicotine delivery systems, or ENDS. The design evolution of e-cigarettes has changed many times over the years. Some of the designs even look like traditional tobacco products, cigarettes, cigars, and pipes. E-cigarettes can also come in a variety of shapes and sizes, including ones that look like pens, flash drives, bottles, phones, containers, and figurines, just to name a few. These devices deliver nicotine, flavorings, and other additives when used. So the ever-evolving look of e-cigarettes. So far, there have been 5 generations in the ever-evolving look of e-cigarettes. I'll briefly discuss with you each of those generational designs of these products so that you have a better understanding of how they evolved. So the first generation e-cigarettes in the beginning looked similar to that of a traditional cigarette. Oftentimes they were called cigalikes. Cigalikes were designed for a single use that included small volt batteries and would be disposed of after about 250 to 400 puffs. The number of puffs one would get from this device depends on the user's length and strength of their inhale. A few original generation cigalikes still take on that traditional look, but now can be recharged. Vape pens make up the second generation of e-cigarettes. These devices have a larger battery life and often a clear reservoir that can be filled and refilled with e-liquid juice flavors. And these devices are rechargeable. Now let's move on to the third generation. This generation of e-cigarettes are known to be called mods and have added features where the user can adjust the power. The reservoirs on these can be disassembled and the device is often larger than its former generation of vape pens. Generation 4 brings us to the high-tech pod style design. The most popular brand with this product is the Juul. These devices can be recharged and have removable pods that can be replaced once empty. Finally, we come to the 5th generation, which is the most current generation to date. Though this generation technically has not been identified, but rising popularity of the puff bar, also called pod mods, have emerged. The puff bar is a disposable device that comes in a variety of flavors, specifically to target our youth, and has a lifespan about 300 puffs before being discarded. So why does this matter, right? When it comes to learning about the vaping epidemic and discovering all the information that you need to know whenever addressing that problem. So one of the reasons why I like to bring this to attention as far as how the e-cigarette has evolved over these different generations is a lot of times whenever vaping first came into the picture, it was marketed as a way for people to stop smoking traditional cigarettes. It was marketed as a healthier way. It was marketed, that's what they were targeting. And that's why that first generation really looked much more like a traditional cigarette, because that was their market. Well, as these generations evolved and they started realizing that by making them more tech-like, more fun, more like a smart device, they realized that they were gaining the attention of youth. And as you know, cigarettes, lead usually to death and disease and different cancers and complications. So it is a market that is a dying market. So they need that younger generation to be able to keep that, to be able to stay in the play. So all these evolutions of how it has evolved, I think that's important because it demonstrates the different way these companies are targeting our youth. All right, mechanics of e-cigarettes. So in order to fully understand what e-cigarettes are, one must also understand how the e-cigarette is made. No matter what generation of e-cigarette one chooses, they all have these 4 components. 1 is a cartridge or reservoir, 2, a heating element, 3, a power source, and 4, a mouthpiece. So you can see each different component on the different devices on the screen. So what are e-cigarettes? E-cigarettes are also known as vapes, e-cigs, mods, tanks, or vape pens. They're battery-powered devices that mimic smoking. They come in many different shapes and sizes, such as long tube-shaped devices, small boxes with a mouthpiece, or flat sticks similar to a USB memory key. There are two kinds of vaping devices. One is an open system, which means they can be refilled. And the second is closed system, which means the cartridges are sealed and e-juice cannot be refilled. Now that we know about the different generations of these devices and the mechanics on how to use the products, let's look at how the e-cigarette actually works. So in order to use an e-cigarette, the user must inhale from the mouthpiece. For some device, the user will need to press a power button first. When the user inhales, a change in the pressure inside the device changes and the battery will begin to heat up the liquid. The liquid will then become an aerosol. The aerosol is what is inhaled into the lungs and exhaled out of the mouth. The liquids inside the device often contain the following ingredients: nicotine, the addictive stimulant also found in traditional tobacco products, propylene glycerin, which turns into a vapor when heated and produces the fog appearance when the user exhales, additives, including ultrafine particles that can be inhaled deep into the lungs, flavorings from cherry to chocolate, and they sometimes contain heavy metals such as nickel, tin, and lead. So this is always good to just be aware of and draw attention for the youth, because all those different things they may not realize that is what's going into their body. So there are many different ways these devices are being camouflaged, and this is a constantly changing and evolving, always new products coming on the market. So in the picture here, you can see the vaping hoodie. So it's a high school fashion mainstay defined by a hood with drawstrings. And now it's available as a vaping device, so they can just puff on the drawstrings. Looks like a traditional hoodie. They've got a smart watch, or it looks like a smartwatch, but it's actually an e-cigarette where they can use that to be able to vape and keep it sort of on the down low where it doesn't look like the real traditional device. There is a great program called Hidden in Plain Sight, which I'm sure a lot of you have participated in or set up, where it sets up a mock bedroom scene and it goes through and has all these different devices in ways that youth can hide the different products that they have. I highly recommend, if you have not experienced that, to take part in that, because it is very eye-opening, and that's kind of our role as leaders within this realm of prevention work, is just being in the loop and making sure we know what's going on. So let's go over some youth and adult statistics. So results from the annual National Youth Tobacco Survey for 2022. The data was collected between January and May of 2022 using an online survey among U.S. middle school grades 6 through 8 and high school grades 9 through 12 students. The use of an online survey allows all eligible students to participate in a classroom or at home during a designated class period as part of a class activity. However, most students completed the survey in a classroom setting. Prior to 2021, the survey was solely conducted in a classroom setting. Due to the changes in methodology, including differences in survey administration and data procedures in recent years because of COVID-19 pandemic, the ability to compare estimates from 2002 with those prior is kind of limited. So if you see any statistics on here that seem like, oh, that's a very big change from what it was previously, a lot of that is a reflection of the way that the survey has been distributed because of COVID-19, how it impacted that. But yes, you can see the changes in some of those statistics. So like I said, the middle school is gone down a little bit, but you can see from the previous that we've gone up as far as the use of middle and high school students that have used e-cigarettes in the past 30 days, and the percentage of high school students that are currently using e-cigarettes. So here are some more statistics for you all just to see. As far as the information you can see on the screen, it's estimated that 40% of Tennessee high school students have tried e-cigarettes. Youth experimentation with e-cigarette has remained unchanged. I really apologize if you can hear dogs barking in the background. Another lovely setting when it comes to working virtually and working remotely. But yes, you can see on the screen all the different statistics. Estimated that 40% of Tennessee high school students have tried an e-cigarette. The very bottom graph, you can see that last column. In 2015, and all those fun little statistics. Once again, just really important to be aware of those, have those in our mind, and know what's going on in the world. And then just going into a little bit more looking for specifically at Tennessee. So the graph on the left, or the graphic on the left, outlines cigarette use among adults and high school students. Cigarette use in both high school students and adults were higher than the US average in 2019. However, for youth, combustible cigarette use, we've really closed the gap between the US rate and the Tennessee rates. We're now only about 1% higher than the national average, and that's great progress. But unfortunately, we're losing all the gains we've made in tobacco prevention with e-cigarette use. So in 2020, 19.5% adults smoked. Nationally, the rate was 15.5%. In 2019, 7.1% of high school students in Tennessee smoked cigarettes, whereas the national rate was 6%. The image on the right side of the screen shows other use of tobacco within the state of Tennessee. In 2018, 5.6% of adults in Tennessee used e-cigarettes and 6.5% used smokeless tobacco. In 2019, 22.1% of high school students in Tennessee used electronic vapor products, and the national rate was 32.7%. Again, in 2019, 8.2% of high school students in Tennessee used chewing tobacco, snuff, or dip. The national rate was 3.8%. And finally, in 2019, 9.1% of high school students in Tennessee smoked cigars, cigarillos, or little cigars. Nationally, the rate was 5.7%. So you can see there's still much work to be done in the fight against e-cigarette use. At 16, you can see, again, as I said previously, originally the whole few adults actually use the e-cigarettes, and most who do are aged 18 to 24. Note that the percentage of adults using these devices is less than half the percent of high school students in Tennessee using them. Youth current use of e-cigarettes is 19%. It's more than double the rate of adult use, which is 9.5% in Tennessee. So know the signs and symptoms. Once again, in our role of prevention work, it's just very important to be aware of these different signs and symptoms, because you're not typically going to have youth that just immediately volunteer that they do vape. So signs of vaping, vaping slang, increased thirst, nosebleeds, decreased in caffeine consumption, social media and online referencing. Symptoms of vaping: shortness of breath, fatigue, weight loss, nausea, night sweats, and gastrointestinal problems. All right, so I like to do a little bit more interactive. I've already got you guys counting starburst and knowing just how particularly engaged you're going to be into this presentation. You're lucky that this is a virtual presentation, because if we were in person, you get up and dance around, but I'm still going to try to get you moving, because I have a very all-encompassing view of health. And I know that being active makes your brain active. So we're going to do a little activity. If you are at home in a virtual space, a private space where you have the ability to stand up, I invite you to stand up. If you are in an office space with other people around you and you are not particularly liking the idea of standing up, then you can just do in place. So what we're going to do is we are going to stand or sit. If you were sitting, you're just going to do a little march in place. If you are standing, you can just do a little march in place. There is a question on the screen. When I give you the answer that you think is correct, then I want you to sit back down. All right, so we are marching in place, either in our seats or we are standing. I'm going to stay seated because I have learned when I get up, I start moving around and I mess a lot with my audio. So we are just going to be marching in place. Just take a moment, breathe it in, get a little march going on. You can do a little song in your head if you need to, that's fine. So we see the question on the screen, how much money was lost in productivity from premature death due to secondhand smoke exposure? So when I give you what you think is the correct answer, you may sit down or stop marching in place. All right, here we go. 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, 25 million, 100 million, 1 billion, that's billion with a B, 5 billion, 7 billion, 10 billion. All right. Thank you all for humoring me with that little. I hope you got a little bit of exercise. I hope we woke our brains back up. And now drum roll for the big answer, 7 billion. That's how much money was lost in productivity from premature death due to secondhand smoke exposure, which I find just mind-blowing that secondhand exposure, like I know it's dangerous, but that's $7 billion that was lost in productivity. So just some more economic factors for you here on the screen. So from 2014 through 2020, e-cigarette sales in the United States generally increased as product prices decreased. Total e-cigarette sales increased by 122.2% during this time frame. For example, from 7.7 million to 17.1 million units per 4-week interval. All right, then we'll get a little bit into some mental health concerns. So with all of big tobacco, strategic marketing and the use of trying and using e-cigarettes have become ever more appealing to youth. A quote taken from Truth Initiative states, preventing the use of nicotine and helping those addicted quit is critical to helping ensure today's young adults are best equipped for the future. So youth may use e-cigarettes as a coping mechanism, but they're not fully aware of the negative role of e-cigarettes component nicotine can have on their mental health. Truth Initiative found that only 44% of frequent vapers agreed that vaping can worsen anxiety and irritability, compared with 61% of who don't vape. It was recorded that more than twice, or 45% of frequent vapers agreed that it's okay to vape for stress relief. These results suggest that aside from not knowing vaping can worsen mental health conditions, e-cigarette users are instead using them to cope with anxiety and stress, all of which can worsen their mental health in the long run. Parts of the brain that control attention, learning, mood, and impulse control. Each time a new memory is created or a new skill is learned, stronger connections or synapses are built between brain cells. Young people's brains build synapses faster than adult brains, and nicotine changes the way these synapses are formed. Using nicotine in adolescence may also increase the risk for future addiction to other drugs. On the slide, you can see a little demonstration of brain on nicotine. So it is one of the things I work a lot with youth, and I like to ask why they think people their age choose to vape. You get a lot of the same answers, the whole marketing, the flavors, they think it's cool, but one of the big ones that they say is they use vaping as a stress relief. It's a very common answer that's what the youth are turning to. And so I like to bring this to their attention because a lot of the times youth don't realize that they are addicted to nicotine. There's a lot of adults that we don't even realize. They'll say that they're not addicted. Oh, I can stop whenever I want to. It's no big deal. I'm not addicted. I'm not, I can stop whenever I want to. Especially our youth, right? They're a little bit defiant and thinking that they can control all those variables. But when in reality, because nicotine is so addictive, and when they have that addiction, then they also have the withdrawal symptoms. So whenever they are not providing that brain with the nicotine, they start getting things like irritability, they get anxious, they might even increase their depression. So all of those symptoms, which they may think are just them being stressed, and then they turn to the vape to be able to take away that stress. And in reality, by hitting that vape, it's really just taking away those withdrawal symptoms. So they think that those aren't connected at all, when in reality, it's rooted in the cycle of nicotine withdrawal. So nicotine relieves the symptoms of withdrawal temporarily. So it started a pleasurable experience of vaping, turns into vaping to get rid of the withdrawal symptoms. The cycle makes it feel like vaping relieves anxiety and stress, but the reality is that it only addresses the withdrawal symptom and makes the cycle continue. So quitting can improve mental health. Quitting smoking is linked with lower levels of anxiety, depression, and stress, as well as improved positive mood and quality of life compared with continuing to smoke. Likewise, there's emerging evidence of a link between quitting vaping and improvements in mental health symptoms. Truth Initiative survey data supports this link between quitting and nicotine-containing e-cigarettes and improved mental health outcomes. So the Truth Initiative survey showed that 90% of those who quit said they felt less stressed, anxious, or depressed. 47% of the respondents who quit vaping reported that when they quit, they felt more in control. 78% of respondents who reported ever vaping but had not quit said they would feel better about themselves if they quit vaping. A previous Truth Initiative research published in Preventive Medicine Reports show high interest in quitting among young people. A majority of current young e-cigarette users surveyed say they intend to quit, with 1/3 reporting past year quit attempts and 15% aiming to quit in the next month. So that's good news that there is some interest out there for youth to be quitting. So let's talk about how to combat e-cigarette use. So additionally, we can educate not only our students, but also our teachers and parents on the dangers of e-cigarette use. We need to become familiar with the look of all these devices and know how each of these products work. We must also create a safe place for our youth to talk about their nicotine addiction and the challenges they are facing in their addictions and attempts of quitting. We must continue to share resources not only for students, but for their parents and teachers. And lastly, we must stand firm and continue pushing for policy change. So these youth are our future. So these are different ways that we can get involved in trying to make that change. So let's talk a little bit more about some policy changing. So tobacco enforcement, halting tobacco sales to minors. The Tennessee Department of Agriculture has implemented new state law that mirrors federal law tobacco sales, that minimum age requirements. So public chapter number 732 raises the state tobacco sale minimum age required from 18 to 21. And this law has been effective since January 1st, 2021. So the Tennessee governor on June 1st, 2022, Governor Bill Lee officially signed a bill that restores local option to make bars and music venues smoke-free, along with ANRF's artist and resident Jamie Kent's, Representative Kerrigan and family, Stephanie Strutter from Prevention Alliance of Tennessee, so a local PAC coalition member. The law took effect July 1st, 2022. Now that preemption has been partially repealed in Tennessee, we are excited to support more local smoke-free campaigns. For city ordinance, local governments can pass ordinance on smoke vape-free playgrounds, any sort of municipally controlled property, parks, playgrounds, government buildings, etc., and age-restricted venues. State legislative can repeal of preemption. Residents, community leaders, and local policymakers, council members, etc., can contact their state representatives to ask for preemption to be repealed entirely so that local governments can better protect their citizens and prevent youth from lifelong addictions to nicotine. And there's also opportunities within your local schools for policy change. So making your school a tobacco-free policy a universal policy. We have a lot of health educators, tobacco coordinators, and a number of TN Strong ambassadors who have stated that this is one of the things that they are interested in working on. So just a little bit more information about our Smoke-Free Tennessee Coalition. So that was born out of the Smoke-Free Bars and Venues headed up by the chair, Jamie Kentz. They determined that really it's not just about those smoke-free bars and music venues, that there are a lot of other opportunities in which we need to try to promote that Smoke-Free Tennessee, which is why it evolved into Smoke-Free Tennessee Coalition. So they have different priorities, including youth education, cessation, prevention, local policy, system and environmental issues, and state policies. They have quarterly meetings. These are set up hybridly, so they can be in person if you choose, or you can also join virtually. June 13th, there will be one in Memphis, August 17th, one in Nashville, and November 16th, one in Chattanooga. They also have virtual monthly meetings for different committees that include policy, strategic planning, community engagement and outreach, education, and awareness. Now, I know you all have a very active role in the prevention scene. Really, joining this coalition would just give that opportunity to, one, share any successes that you've had so that we don't have to recreate the wheel. If there is something that you are doing amazing with prevention work within your local community, being able to share that on the broader scene so we can expand that across Tennessee is just a wonderful opportunity. And likewise, if there are certain challenges that you are having, really this just opens that doorway for people to connect all the way across Tennessee that share that same goals and priorities as far as prevention work. So there is an email address at the bottom of the screen, and I can also share that these slides with Jillian to be able to share with you all so you have that. So let's go over a little bit of resources. So there is the Tobacco Education Resource Library from FDA Center for Tobacco Products.
My daughter has a picnic lunch today from 11 until 12:30. So instead of me flexing my time to pick her up this afternoon until I bring her to Boys and Girls Club, I'm going to flex my time to go to her picnic.
There is somebody that is not on, there we go. So yes, the Tobacco Education Resource Library from FDA Center for Tobacco Product provides tobacco education resources. It offers digital and print content for state and local health officials, nonprofit organizations, and schools to support public outreach efforts. There are also a lot of different resources available on the American Lung Association site, including ACT, which stands for Ask, Cancel, Treat. This is a 1-hour on-demand online course that provides an overview for healthcare professionals, school personnel, and community members in youth and adolescent supportive roles in conducting a brief intervention for teens who use tobacco. So a lot of the times I know we work with youth and sometimes it is a struggle to be able to identify how exactly are we supposed to go about discussing this with them, as far as, one, they more than likely are not going to admit that they do vape. 2, they do not identify as being addicted to that nicotine at all. 3, even if they do admit to you that they are vaping, it's kind of hard to know where to start. What do you say? How do you say it? What are you going to do to be able to open that doorway to discuss this further with them? So ACT is a great little sort of online course that you can do in your own time that brings to light some different ways to be able to address those problems and concerns with our youth. There is also In Depth, which is an alternative to suspension. Once again, this is it's a 3-model certification and training that prepares adults to implement In Depth as an alternative to suspension. It's for student ages 14 through 19. Essentially, they have learned that just by suspending students, putting them in school suspensions, suspending them from school, it's not really an effective component to combat that vaping problem. There needs to be some educational side to that where you actually explain to the youth why it's dangerous, why they shouldn't do it. And In Depth provides the adults, whoever that may be, with that training for how to address those concerns and share that with the youth instead of just suspending them. There is also a problem called NOT, which is not on tobacco. This one, there is a cost to become certified. It's a little bit more in depth. It is more of a cessation program to help those youth that have identified that they are vaping, are addicted to that nicotine, to help them to stop. They have actually introduced an online version of this NOT program that youth can access themselves using their smartphones, and that's a free version for them. So that's always an opportunity if it's not feasible for somebody in your area to actually go through that certification and pay to be certified. There is an online option for the youth to be able to still get the benefits of that. We also have our quit line number. There is a text ditch vape or 88709 that youth can text that number, and it just helps provide them with those different resources for quitting. It's a 24/7, just a great alternative. Sometimes, like I said, youth don't openly admit that they may be vaping or have a problem. This gives them the opportunity to explore some cessation resources themselves in their own privacy and the comfort of that. Then I have to share information about our Teen Strong Youth and our community engagement programs. So we do have a whole website that is committed to all these programs, sharing the information. We've got our Teen Strong Youth Summits, our Teen Strong Youth Ambassadors, nicotine-free teams. I'll go over those a little bit more detail in the next slides. We have youth councils, we have student resources, we have resources for administrators and educators, including the information that I just shared. But there's also information for like a model policy, school policy, the universal tobacco-free policy, and suggestions as far as enforcement of that policy. And then we have parent resources as well. Once again, just how to speak to your teen about quitting vaping or the dangers of vaping. So with Teen Strong, which we do have quite a few ambassadors from your region who are doing absolutely amazing work in all that they do. So I'm sure you are familiar with our Teen Strong program, but I always like to plug it because, like I said, I do a lot of work with our youth and I'm very passionate about that. They are our future generation. Their voices are so important in this fight against tobacco and nicotine because it's just very much more meaningful coming from them to discuss the dangers and how it's impacting them and their peers. So Teen Strong stands for Tennessee Stop Tobacco and Revolutionize Our New Generation. It's a youth-led statewide movement committed to raising awareness of the dangers of tobacco and fighting against tobacco's industry influence on Tennessee youth. We have Teen Strong ambassadors from across the states. We provide them with training to help support their advocacy skills. They lead campaign events, they attend key decision maker meetings, and then we have a statewide youth training, which is our Teen Strong Summits. So they do different campaign events. We've got nicotine-free teams, which I'll discuss more in the next slide, but they participate in different community events, health awareness promotion. Once again, we really feel like it's important to go ahead and partner with the work that's already being done. So we highly encourage our Teen Strong ambassadors to work with the prevention coalitions or any other groups and community-led, whether that be their school groups or within the community that are already doing this work, to just support them, which I know you guys know very much so firsthand because you are wonderful supporter of some of our Teen Strong ambassadors that are in your area. So nicotine-free teams, basically nicotine-free teams, it used to be tobacco-free sports, but we realized that there are more teams within the school. So we opened it up to become nicotine-free teams. We started off with baseball and softball, then we added basketball and cheerleading, but we also have just a general. So basically the team members sign a pledge saying that they're going to be nicotine-free, and then we send them a banner and an incentive item. One of the things that we have identified when it comes to working with youth, especially with nicotine prevention, which once again, I'm sure you all know this, but it's great to find something that they are very passionate and that they love. And then to be able to take that passion and that whatever it is that they love and be able to explain how nicotine can negatively impact that and make it so that they cannot no longer do those things at the same level that they currently do. Sometimes that resonates more with them than just preaching to them about the negative side effects, the negative, all the scientific stuff. Sometimes saying by choosing to vape, it means you're not going to be able to do these things that you love. Plus you have the team environment where they are supporting each other and encouraging each other to not make those bad decisions. They also get to go to key decision maker meetings, such as school board meetings, health council meetings, city council meetings. So essentially, we are just trying to provide them with opportunities to be able to be a part of those different experiences to help them grow with their advocacy skills. Then we've got our Teen Strong Youth Summit. The application is currently closed, but this is an annual event. Basically, it's 3 days, 2 nights. We cover the meals, we cover the hotel accommodation. The youth have the opportunity to be able to sorry, I think I lost you guys for a moment. Can you still see the PowerPoint? Okay. The joys of technology. We were doing so good. How about now? And now.
Yes.
Yay! Chart. Sorry about that. All right, we are almost done. I know we're at 45 minutes and I want to be very conscious of your time. So if your youth are not signed up for this year's 10 Strong Youth Summit, we do this annually. So I highly encourage you to put it on your radar for next year. We like to make it very fun and engaging for them. And then just to share the impacts that our ambassadors have had, we added about 20 ambassadors in 2022. They have contributed about 1,160 volunteer hours for the 2022 year. That doesn't include all the other youth that they get engaged in the different activities that they promote. Our ambassador application is currently open. So if you have any youth that are aged 13 through 19 that are interested or that are already doing amazing advocacy work, I would strongly encourage you, or I would strongly suggest encourage. It is a wonderful opportunity. If they are already very actively engaged in advocacy work, it will just further support that. And we do like to provide them with unique opportunities as far as training, getting to have different experiences. We actually just had a group of ambassadors that went to a recording studio in Nashville, a real live recording studio where multiple artists such as George Strait, Taylor Swift had actually recorded, and they got to do a voiceover for a promotional video that we are working on. So I highly encourage you to get them to be involved if that is something that they would be interested in. And then we have throughout our region, we have health educators in just about every single one of our counties throughout the state. We also have regional tobacco coordinators. You can see their information up on the screen. And we also have metro tobacco coordinators that can help as far as connecting you with resources, supporting the work that you are already doing. So if you have not made contact with your tobacco coordinators, health educators within your county region, I once again would encourage you to do that, because really this prevention work, it's all about supporting each other and making sure we're sharing resources, and that's going to make us be able to be more effective in what we are trying to accomplish. All right, before I open it up for questions, we have our big drum roll of just how many of the starburst did you see on our screen? You can either come off mutes or you can share it in the chats. Let's see, we've got 43, 45, 47. Any other guesses? We're close. 49. Close, close, close. But good try. At least there were a few of you that were definitely paying attention to try to count all the starbursts. So I did the starbursts for a particular reason. One, once again, just to sort of represent the way that tobacco companies are marketing and using those flavors for youth. You also have the whole side of it that even if you don't like Starburst, the fact that there were so many Starbursts on the screen, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of craving a Starburst now. So once again, that's the way that the tobacco companies are utilizing those different marketing techniques to just sort of get that information out there, sort of using the same images over and over again that are appealing to youth to try to make that connection. Now, because my screen restarted and I blocked out of the meeting for minutes, I don't see if there were any questions or comments in the chat from before that time. I do see that Jillian shared that Carter, Tias, Riley, and Marcy in Carter County. Greene County has Samantha Kendall. Washington County has Lily Anglin. But yeah, you can see that you guys have a ton of TN Strong ambassadors in your region, your counties, that are just doing amazing work. And I am really happy that they work with you all and support the different things that you guys are doing. Because like I said, it's really just about sharing those resources, and we're all trying to do the same thing. So let's work smarter, not harder. But are there any other questions for me? Everybody still awake? Do I need to make anybody do jumping jacks or anything else? I'm telling you, you're very lucky that like they put me in a virtual setting, because sometimes I get very full on when I'm one-on-one in front of you. But
thank you, Robin. This was great info. I'm going to put the evaluation for this presentation in the chat for y'all right now. It's also on the agenda if you need it later. If y'all will fill out that evaluation and send it back to me, then I will send your certificates like always. So make sure you do that evaluation and get it back to me, and I'll get you your certificate. Okay. So we are going to go ahead and move into our 10-pack updates with Christy. These are also on the agenda. I will share the agenda in the chat one more time in case you lost it. So y'all can follow along there as well. And I'll turn it over to Christy.
Thank you. Thanks, Robin.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys letting me speak, and I commend you on all the wonderful work you're doing. I hope you have a good day.
You as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so of course, I'm still the regional rep. At some point, I may have to pass the buck over to someone else up in the Northeast Tennessee region. So I can't remember how many years we actually set. I think it's like 3 maybe for the Northeast region, for someone as a regional rep to go to the state for the state meetings. But anyhow, I know we are over the third year mark. We're probably in the 4th or 5th year mark. I'm not quite for sure. Jillian may know. So, but anyway, so the Tennessee Department of Mental Health said that there will be new agency forms out soon. And so we need to get those back to them. It says 6/15 of 23. So it should come out here by the end of the month, maybe, or at the beginning of June. So that way you can plug in all your information with the state of your employees. State data is up to date. Monitoring systems, there's a little bit of an issue involving subcontracts. So they're not approved by the state. So there is a little bit of a problem that doesn't align with the state and what they expect. So just look at your subcontracts that you may have with anyone in your grants. Email your program manager for correct subcontract forms. Your FY 23-24 spending rates reminder. If you think you won't spend all your money, talk to your program manager and strategize and be mindful of the 24 year to spend the funds. So Tony, VP of Wow, okay. I'm not for sure what that really entailed, but Tony, VP of EPN, August 15th through 17th in person. So I'm thinking that's some type, Ashley may be able to help me on that because I was typing furiously. So, but it's a prevention network and refer to Dr. Knowles for, okay, so Title VI, I actually had Title VI training the other day. Those are being offered, which was May the 18th, and then the next one's June the 1st. So contact Dave Farmer. For a link, or Donington Knowles also for a link to that for your June the 1st. All of us at least have to have one Title VI coordinator in our coalition, so be aware of that. Department of Health has funding for naloxone. I'm sure some of you have already been in contact with them. They are offering fentanyl strips as well. I do know that. So, but you cannot add these to your reports. So, I know the Unicoi County Prevention Coalition, I'm getting ready to receive 200 boxes of naloxone. So those cannot go in your 10 WITS reports whatsoever involving your grants. So also don't spend any, Tennessee Department of Mental Health funding on it as well. So you can reach out to the state for support if you need it. So, Lacey got on there and talked about, of course, the T and Together survey, and they're actually going to expand it to the fall for a third administration with your state approval through September 2023. So if you're having a hard time getting your schools involved, please reach out to them. They can help you. Average completion time usually is about 8 minutes for the survey. And of course, she never shares your county information with any other coalitions or any other coalitions. So you of course, it's a county level weighted report. We all know that, and what it highlights is the major risky behaviors, of course, we're all seeing and trying to prevent our county among the youth. So this just shows you there are the number of schools that participated so far this year is 173 schools with 34 counties, and they have 22,072 students who have actually taken the survey. So the amount of students is up, but the county or the number of schools is down from 2021 from 184 to 173, but there's still 34 counties that are actually facilitating in the survey. So then there's the top survey. It's a TPN outcomes. It's a youth service implementation and outcomes through the Tennessee Prevention Network. And this is a different survey, of course, that the TPN uses the EBP models and targets goals for implementation, including participants, population of focus. Of course, TOPS measures lifetime and 30-day substance use peer approval, risk and protective factors. Currently does not include youth feedback data. 14 providers compile the prevention plans, 17 with 10 WITS through Q2, 15 providers TOPS surveys through Q3. So this is another different survey that you can actually implement and use in your county if need be. So, and of course, they use the SMART strategies, positive action, getting on right track, too good for drugs, the BOTVIN, and strengthening families across the state programs. So 3,440 have used it statewide to date. Sutherland County Frontier Health uses it, which they collected with Hancock and Hawkins. It's a youth interim survey findings, and they have pre and post tests for that. So it does show so far decrease in substance use, except for the vaping with flavoring. And we're seeing that, of course, in our county. So drug disposal, TDEC, Kathy Glappa, of course, 362 locations across the state now in all 95 counties. Everyone can access a lockbox or a permanent lockbox within 15 to 30-minute drive, which is pretty darn good considering how big and long the state of Tennessee is. So there's 255 law enforcement, including campuses, 8 participants that the DA take back. There's 99 pharmacies that actually use the program. They don't report to Kathy. It goes to the Department of Justice, or in your pharmacies might be having a lockbox. So in 2001, we know the collected 78,000. In 2023 to date, 16,000 DEA data not collected yet. So I do know, and I've said this before, that there are 5 bins right now that need a home at the TBI in Chattanooga. So there's 6 available bins for the Rural Health of Tennessee initiative through HRSA grant. So if, of course, you are needing that, please have let's see, JC Worrell is the contact, but you could actually contact Kathy in regards to that HRSA grant if you want another box. So the state opioid response, TN, Save a Life, training and education, overdose prevention, and other resource goals. They're closing out the first year fentanyl test strip distribution, beginning the pilot of leave behind programs with the first responders. We've seen this throughout the state. They leave resource kits at the scenes of overdose connections to the resources, connect them to the resources. They have fentanyl and stimulant updates coming soon. So, but you must complete, if you want to do a training, you must complete it with Dr. Bigler. He's first in the state to leave the stimulant training slides. Okay. I'm sorry, I was typing all this stuff, so it get kind of sketchy. So there are no marijuana tests have been conducted, including fentanyl in the state. So there are no proven tests that show fentanyl in marijuana, just to let y'all know. So fentanyl training is July 18th, October the 25th, stimulant August the 22nd, November the 7th on Eventbrite with Dr. Bigler. And so look for information on the xylazine that we're seeing, of course. I know I'm getting several different fact sheets on xylazine. Have some documents coming out soon on this, and will be on the website. The DEA right now and NIDA have also info about it. So the SAPS talked about, Dennis Berry, of course, talked about his organization. We know most of us up in the Northeast region have already taken SAPS. Some of maybe Greene County may have not. I'm not for sure if Cindy or any of them have yet, but of course it provides technical help and trainings on the SPIF, the sustainability, your board member, everything, your fiscal agent, coalition management. So the next meeting the next training is August the 8th. And they are starting to look at other new trainings, including grant writing and research behind the strategies that you use for your implementation prevention programs. So Tennessee Strong, of course, to make sure the youth-led statewide movement committed to raising awareness of dangers. Miss Robin talked about that. Teach lifelong skills and personal goals. The ambassador training, virtual meetings, and they get to go 1 week into Chattanooga. So I think it was June. What was that? Early June the 3rd through the 6th of this year for T and Strong. And so, like she said, they do provide the food and hotel and training. So right now there's 31 TM ambassadors with 350 attendees in 2022. So TTI also, it's coming up. I'm not for sure how many coalitions in Northeast region. I know several of you all send students, kids to TTI. So, but they have grown so much that they may have 2 sessions this year because of the growth and the number of kids participating in the TTI. Of course, you know, it covers the ATOD, mental health, Tennessee highway safety, suicide, bullying issues. It helps them become leaders. It teaches about team building, etc. You know, a lot of keynote speakers and trainings for them. But it is an action-packed week. So I'm not for sure who all is going this year in the Northeast region, but just know that they're always wanting to work with any coalition to bring students down there, kids. So partner updates, the county health assessments are going on in most counties across the state of Tennessee. I know Carter County right now has a survey out for their health assessment, and Unicoi counties will be coming out, I know, for in July through September. So be on the lookout if you want to help with that county assessment or involved in it. That's great, because it's going to pinpoint those health initiatives that you all may want to even include in your implementation plans and updating them. So we know that Titus, of course, Miss Marie is always offering new training, so check out their website and make sure if any trainings you want to have through Titus, that it's 6 weeks out before the training. That way Maria has enough time to get all the information and documents finished that she needs to on her end. So of course we know about the National Guard. Will, I love Will. Him and Scott are mostly doing it right now, taking care of the trailer. So but if you need help with anything, please contact them. There wasn't anything on 10 WITS, the Tennessee Department of Office info for the data hub on overdoses. So they've compiled the data dashboard for 2021. We know that. So just go on the tdh.analytics at tn.gov to collect some of that data. Chasco, I know some of y'all went to the PIP conference. I'm sure that was a great conference to attend this year. And then, of course, Monty Burks, most of us have all worked with Monty. So reach out to him for any help and coordination with the faith-based organizations that you may want to get involved with recovery. Fentanyl training for communities of faith, they're getting ready to have that. June the 2nd is a statewide summit to help those in community with justices. I know that's in Chattanooga, if I'm not mistaken. And then for reentry access, and then June the 13th to the 14th in Shelby County, they're having awareness, prevention on suicide ideation. So anything that you all may need from Monty, please just contact him, okay? And he can help you all out. I think that's it. Any questions? Straightforward. Ashley, do you have anything else to input maybe?
No, you did a really great job. I just wanted to emphasize the Title VI training. I've had some questions from my folks about if they could do their own internal county one or their own, internal organizational one, but you have to take the one that was in the email, and you have to take that assessment or that exact form and resubmit it back to Donathan or Dave Farmer. But other than that, yeah, it's the end of the year. Keep an eye on your spending. And that was just about it for me.
Okay.
Good job.
I was just going to comment on the Title VI. For some reason at the Partners in Prevention Conference, something had come up about Title VI. Some of the, oh gosh, who was, the National Guard people were there, and they were telling what they do and everything. And they were asking about training, and somebody from a coalition is like, well, can, and they were asking about Title VI training, but what they were asking about is an update, a better training than the links that are available now. Because they felt like the one with the link, as somebody said, that it's like basically like from 1986 and some of it's outdated and some of the aspects of Title VI have changed. And that some of it needed to be updated. So they were asking the National Guard about changing that. And they were talking about, the training, for the training that they do with their coalitions and their board. So anyways, I mean, I don't know if that's where some of that had come up, because I guess some of them do it as a more formal presentation. We don't. We send links and we're just like, here you go. But some of them are like, no, we have to do it like as a formal thing. And it's like, okay, you do you. But anyways, they were, like I said, they were definitely asking questions about that, wanting some new updates. So like I said, if there's any bubbles about that, that may be what prompted it, because several people were chiming in and lots of conversations were being had.
Yeah, thank you for letting me know. And I would say, while you are required to do the one that we sent out, you're more than welcome to, if you wanted to have a more updated one and you find a reputable source, get it checked over with your program manager to make sure that that's okay. But yeah, that's something I can definitely bring to the team and see if there's any way we can update it. Because I mean, if it was from the 80s, then yeah, a lot has changed since then, thankfully. And so yeah, thanks for letting me know, and I'll keep you posted with any updates.
Yeah.
I will say, Jennifer, that the training on the couple of days last week, that it did have new guidelines on certain things, and especially when it comes to interpreters and using bilingual people within your organization. There were new guidelines for that, but I would hope that the whole presentation gets sent out, not just for the coordinators, because I did go online and say that, the presentation online is even, it's like 2015 or something like that. So it didn't have these new, for your IEP stuff, it didn't have any of it in it from the one that was online. So I'm assuming at some point they're going to have to update all that. So,
all right, Christy, are you talking about the video or the PowerPoint?
the training that I saw, the training through Title VI.
Oh, right.
So they're going to have to change the video. They're going to have to change the presentation and the video to include that type of stuff. So,
All right, anything else before we move on? Okay, thank you, Christy. We will go ahead and move into member updates. Whoever wants to go first can go ahead and share what's going on with your coalition.
And go. I'll go ahead and go. Let's see. Right now I'm in the process of looking for a DFC project director. Of course, my Sandra's leaving me, which I don't blame her. She's going to Hawaii for a year. So I'd go too if I could. No. So she's going to be gone. So I'm looking for a project director for her position. And I'm excited about the mentor program that we have, because it's going to just keep on excelling and growing in the years to come. We did, of course, you all do We paid EMT this year to do our 6th grade surveys. Because you remember at one point we used to do 6th grade back in the day. Well over 6 years ago, I guess, but anyhow, we have some pretty nasty data when it comes to the vaping with the nicotine and the flavoring and marijuana. So we're going to be focusing on that a lot. But you know, we're getting ready to do farmers market all year long, get ready to work with the YMCA and getting ready to do UT extension stuff too over the summer. So it'll keep us busy. But we did get our lead. This is great. Our lead law enforcement, gets drug and violence into all the elementary schools. And it's actually the school counselors that's going to be facilitating it. So I'm excited about that instead of the SROs. So we did, we under the DFC grant, were able to pay for the training for our 4 elementary schools. So we're happy with that. And they'll be training in Washington County in July, some of them, and then one's got to go down to Anderson County. But yeah, so we're excited about that. And marijuana grant, Sandra's been on it, so I'll probably have to take over that for a little bit till we figure out hiring wise, and maybe divvy it up between Ray and Katie as well. So, but other than that, I can't think of anything. So yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Christy. Who wants to go next?
Well, I'll go ahead and go real quick because, well, as y'all know, Katie, she is now with the Regional Department of Health. She basically is going to be helping with programming over all of the 7 health departments that in our part of the region. And so she'll be doing that. And so we're transitioning Sabrina, who is still pretty new, into her position over the coalition and prevention stuff. So we're trying to bring her up to speed. But that also leaves us that we are looking for another person to fill Sabrina's role that we had just filled with by hiring her. So if you know of any folks that are interested in that, please let us know. Other than that, we started to work on doing, I know in the marijuana that we're going to work on a surveillance. We're going to work on a retail surveillance, hopefully over the summer, using, I think, a tool we got from one of the other coalitions. I can't remember which one, but definitely we're going to start working on that. We are, as Christy had mentioned about the lead training, we are going to be actually it's because we are training some Washington County Sheriff's Department folks in that. Is why that's going to be available. So if you all have anybody who wants to come and take the training, whether it's SROs or, as Christy mentioned, it can be guidance counselors as well, that if they want the training basically in Too Good for Drugs, both the Too Good for Drugs and I think Too Good for Violence is the other aspect of it, which I'll have to say, Christy, that I love the little guy, Andy, that used to be in Unicoi County. And we met with him. He's kind of leading it since he has experience with it. He's kind of leading, helping us pull the training together. But we met with him the other day out at South Central School where he's at. And let's see what else. I really don't know what else is going on because honestly, except for vaguely what Katie would tell me. She was handling a lot of the prevention stuff and Sabrina had to step out to go to lunch with her daughters last week of school. So I told her to go ahead and go do that. So that's about all we have at the moment. So.
Thank you. Who wants to go next?
I can go next. Let's see, we actually have everyone hired in grants, so that's great. Finally fully staffed. And everyone stayed for a while, so we're making progress. We also have had lead in a couple, and hopefully Kingsport City Schools are getting SROs in elementary, so maybe they might jump in on that training this summer. I hope so. But we do have Sullivan County Schools and Bristol City Schools who are doing lead, so they did that last year. So we have 3 teams going to TTI. So we'll have a lot of kids down there. So that's exciting coming up. Let's see, we've been doing in-depth in a couple of the high schools. Tennessee High and East High did in-depth, and that seems to be going well. What else? Oh, we've started a campaign on it's OTT, which is on the computer, and then we'll have a couple ads run in June on WCYB for Talk They Hear You using the SAMHSA campaign. So look for those. And gosh, what else? There's a billion things, tons of different events going on with all kinds of folks this summer. We'll do Fun Fest, and the YMCA's having events, and Juneteenth, and just all kinds of fun stuff like that. So, I think that's about it. There's a lot, but that's the highlights.
Hey, speaking of summer events, I had mentioned this to Jillian when I saw her at Partners in Prevention. We have Rainbow Festival, which is coming up. And I know also Pride Fest is being hosted here in Johnson City this year. So if anyone wants to work together, rather than having a bunch of different coalition booths, but more specifically for the Rainbow Festival, we actually had a great time last year, but strangely enough, that especially with Katie leaving, like half of our staff is out. So I had asked Jillian if she wanted to maybe tag team what staff we do have, because it's a long day. It's like from 10 to 8, and you have to be there like at 8 o'clock to set up. You can't, if you're not in by 8 or 8:30, like they're like, nope, sorry, you can go in, you can, ride on somebody else's table, but you can't like haul stuff in. So, but it's a long day. We'll be happy to organize it and set up a schedule. So I'll pass that around to some of the other coalitions, that if you all want to come out and take a role. We usually do like regional stuff. Like I'll bring our regional list of coalitions that we have, and we just have like a bunch of different stuff that we just put out. And we also partner with the syringe program here, and help give out some of their harm reduction information as well. And I know we kind of had talked to Kayla as well, because again, Ropes is they're kind of a small team too. And to take up a whole day, a lot of times takes a lot of time out of their week. So, we're talking about kind of tag teaming with them as well on the table. So I will send that out, and anybody who wants to participate, we've already paid for our space. So we just want some others to get in on it so we can have a prevention table there at the event. So I'll send that out if anybody is interested.
Yeah, that sounds good. What's the date on that?
It is the last Saturday in June.
Okay. Yeah, just send out some times and we'll see if we can coordinate all that.
Okay.
And speaking of tables, if anyone is going to the VA conference, we'll have a table and you can share with us.
Yeah, I think we have one too. So we'll have 2 tables to put coalition stuff on.
We do not have a table, so I'm going to mooch off of both of your tables and add some stuff probably.
Well, Tony was supposed to reach out to Unicorn and Carter and invite them to our table. So if he didn't do that, sorry, I should have followed up.
You're good. I'm happy to share your table. Okay, anything else from Sullivan County?
I would say only that as school has ended, we have had a lot of great opportunities. Fentanyl Awareness Day became amazing at Tennessee High School. We had a panel with TBI, emergency room doctor and our ropes, and presented to all of the students about what they should be looking for in terms of counterfeit drugs, as graduation, prom, and summer are coming up, and that gave us some opportunities that we're looking forward to next year. Also, the Vive 18 and the youth coalitions have really taken off, and we have really seen that at the end of the year as we've gotten all kinds of invites to do things, and even the SRO LEAD program, one of the elementary schools that had started this year. As the school ended, they realized they had not gotten through all of it, and they invited us to come do the THC part of it for them because they just didn't have time to prepare. So it's been pretty exciting, our access to kids as this school year has wound down.
That, and like I said, I'm pinch hitting. So I will say that speaking of access to schools, that this year has probably been the best year that we've had of being regularly invited. In fact, at the last minute, which was Katie's last week, they wound up in the school 3 different days. And we've been also invited to be a part of some things with Dr. Skitsina from ETSU and some programs that they're doing as well in the schools.
Okay, who wants to go next?
This is Candace from Johnson County. I can go next. A couple things I want to mention that we have going on this summer. We're going to be doing a summer camp this year, and we're going to do that for 3rd through 6th grade for Johnson County students. They can be in the school system or homeschooled. It doesn't matter as long as they're the third through 6th current year grade. And we're going to be having a lot of activities. We're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff with them. So it is the day long, July 10th through the 14th, all week. So if you guys want to help spread that word, we're going to be having our Faith and Recovery Forum. This is going to take place at our annual town hall. So this will be like our town hall. And that's on July 29th. And Jennifer, she might want to give more information on that afterwards. That's going to be partnered with the ARC. We have our Prevention Day, back to school bash. We're trying to rebrand that because we have a hard time getting people to come out. So we're really going to try to vamp that up this year. We did well last year because we partnered with the backpack giveaway. So a lot of people come out for that. So, but this year they're doing a drive-through. So we have to kind of start from the ground up again. So we're going to try to rebrand that, and we're going to call it a back to school bash, but we're still going to do the same thing. And then we're going to try to have some bouncy houses and some fun things there to draw the people in, because that's what you have to have, and some really awesome giveaways. And that's going to be on August 5th. And then Jennifer may also want to talk about International Overdose Awareness Day, and if there's anything planned for that on the 31st of August. And we have a lot of success in our schools. We have a really, really strong partnership with our schools. They pretty much let us come in and do anything we asked to do. And this year we had them ask us to come into the 6th grade, and because we're seeing a lot of THC gummies. And so they had us to come in before the 6th grade students go to middle school on the Hill. They had wanted them to have some education on that. So the girls have put together a slideshow and went to the classes and did the education on that, because next year they're going to be in our Botman classes anyway. So they're going to get the same education, but kind of to prepare them for what they might see. So that was a huge success. We had a lot of the teachers reach out and be like, wow, I didn't know some of that stuff either. So, you know, we hope that just kind of gives them a heads up of some things happening in middle school. But that's some of our things we have going on, and one of our major successes that we had this year. So if Jennifer wants to add anything, you go ahead, girl.
Well, if I can get myself unmuted. As far as the faith and recovery forum, we have a call on Friday to kind of just iron everything out. So I'll have all the information as to like the times and all of that, but it is going to be on July 29th. I think Monty and Jamie, they're all coming from the state. It's going to be a big thing. So I'd like for as many people to join us as wants to. Next week, I have a meeting with the girls at the ARC to try to put something together for Overdose Awareness Day on August 31st. So there's a lot of stuff going on that weekend. I know that Jeremiah is, they're doing something in Johnson City, and that's going to be on Saturday. So I'm going to go up there and sit up with him on Saturday. And I know that Carter County T has got something going on at the Covered Bridge that Friday night. So I'm going to try to do something in Johnson County that day. And that's all, I think.
All right, thank y'all.
I was just going to really quickly speak to that, Jennifer, since you mentioned that. On Saturday, September 2nd, from 4 to 8 p.m. We will have it'll be a day to honor the Overdose Awareness Day, and then it'll be a kickoff to Recovery Month. So we're going to have like bouncy houses. We're going to have some food. We're going to have probably some food trucks. We're going to have kids activities like face painting, all kinds of stuff. Like, so we really want it to be a family activity, but we're also going to plan like a memorial wall where people can honor those who have overdosed. We're going to actually like have some speakers throughout the day, just short little ones, is not to pull people away or bore them too much. But we really are trying to, try to make it, but more than anything, we're aiming at the recovery community because it's a holiday weekend where a lot of other people will be celebrating with drugs and alcohol, most likely. So we want to give them a family-friendly, sober celebration that they can attend. So again, it's September 2nd from 4 to 8 p.m. And it'll be Johnson City at the pavilion right next to Founders Park. Where the farmers market usually is.
Okay. I will, let's see, Jill, do you want to go? And then I will finish us up.
Sure, I can go. See, we are finishing up this week with school. I just got done with my last group today. That's why I was driving back. So, and we are working in Sullivan and Hancock and Hawkins County. We are in 7 schools, and we have actually 2 full-time people and 2 part-time people working. And we've had a good year this year. We've it's nice to be back to normal, I guess, if you can call it. But we've had a very good year. It's we still have had our struggles of getting our pre and post tests back, parental permission letters back, the usual stuff that we had pre-COVID. But it's been a real good year.
And something that we have coming up in the summer, we're partnering with the Bristol YWCA, and we're going to be doing some prevention programs there this summer. So I'm excited about that. So should be good. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jill. Okay, I'll share just a few things we've got going on. Summer is just wild for us with camps and youth things. So we're taking 22 people to 10 strong in a couple weeks. And then we'll send Nash will take a team of 6 to TTI. And then we're also in July doing Franklin County Prevention Coalition's Thrive Camp. If y'all have kids that can't do 10 strong or TTI, that Thrive Camp is amazing. Y'all, like, we love it every year. It's one of our most favorite camps. And Franklin County Prevention Coalition does it. So all that coming up this summer. We got to speak at Partners in Prevention last week. It was a great conference, and we were grateful to share about our partnership with Parks and Rec. They're probably one of our very best partners, and so they asked us to share about that. I just got our in-depth data back for this school year, and I was so excited about this. We had 17 citations in the 20 to 21 school year, 65 citations in 21 to 22, and then we're down to 23 citations in 22 to 23. So we're really, really excited about that. And we've started doing in-depth as the first offense, and then we're doing not as the second offense. And so we just feel like it's working really well, and we're super glad to be able to do that. So we've been doing that in Elizabeth and city schools, and then we'll start doing it in Carter County schools in the fall. So this really good data helped me quite a bit convince Carter County schools that this was a good thing for them to do. So we're excited about that. We are doing the International Overdose Awareness Day event at the Covered Bridge Park like we did last year. And I know Tia has reached out to some of y'all about being part of that. We, about a month ago, just started doing parenting classes inside Carter County Jail. So we're super excited about that. I'm grateful to be there with them and share some resources and do parenting support with them through our DFC grant. We also have Nash is doing an esports thing all summer long. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we were able, with some National Recreation and Parks Association funding, to create an esports gaming lab. It's way smarter than me and cooler than me, and I don't understand anything about it, but it's awesome and kids love it. So they have all these different gaming systems that they can come in and play on, and also get resources. So we'll have those open gaming labs all summer long. If you have kiddos that are looking for something to do and can make it to Carter County, 1 to 3, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, just open gaming labs, give them something healthy and fun and safe to do this summer. So Nash is doing that. They're also all on our website. I think that's all. I mean, we have a million things, but that is the highlights. Thanks, y'all, Jill and Jennifer. Appreciate it. It was a fun presentation to give. So I'm glad y'all were there. It was good to see everybody. Anything else before we finish up?
Hey, Jillian, I sent you the evaluation. Do we send that to you?
Yep, just send it to me and I'll send certificates.
Cool.
I've got several of y'all already, so. All right, y'all, if there's nothing else, our next meeting will be the August statewide mandatory meeting. I don't think we have dates or anything for that yet. But hopefully we will have them before too long, and Ashley and her team will send them out to us. So we'll see each other in August, and then we'll, after that, make a plan for next year. So
yes, ma'am, we are working on those dates. So just know it is on our mind. We are thinking about it, and we should be getting that info out to y'all soon.
Perfect. All right, y'all send your evaluation in. It's good to see everybody. See you later.